Hey traders, this is Christian from Tribeca Trade Group, and it is Thursday, December 10th. So one more day to go in this week, and once again, another interesting day. I know I say that word a lot, but it's one of the easiest things or way to kind of describe this market. But let me explain a little bit. I would say the theme of the day is that we had an odd day for this market. I would say for the last couple of weeks, we had a down day yesterday, right? And the Qs were down about 2.2%. We had a little bit of follow through in the overnight market, and then once the market opened, this was a dip that it looked like investors wanted to buy a bit. So especially in the momentum areas of the market, you could see small caps. Remember, we talked about them, and I went over some levels to watch and the indices, and I noticed that the IWM, which finished up another 1% today and rallied almost 2% from the open to the close. But if we look at this, the IWM, what is the level here of the RSI? Again, I've been watching to see how overbought some of these areas are getting. It's a 74 now on the relative strength index. So it's continuing to get hot, right? You can see this down. What I'm referring to is on the bottom of the screen, the lower study. And you could see that the small caps are definitely at this point in overbought territory, and they've had one hell of a move. Now remember, I know someone gave me a nice positive about this. Remember that what we talked about, weeks back around an election time, back in the beginning of November. I've got a couple of videos talking about this, but if you go over to if you go back over to what IWM did 4 years ago. Whoops, sorry for not having this chart up, but it's been a long day. So if we go back to like a 5-year chart on IWM, right? The last time that this did this was, and this is now a bigger move, but if you go back to the 2016 election, we had this rip up after the election too. A little bit of a test down. And certainly if we look at percentage of moves, right, that percentage move back here, right after the election was about, there we go. Yeah, this should be about 18%, somewhere in there. This is now over that. What do we have at this point? And I'll blow this up here a little bit. It's probably difficult to read. As always, if you're having a problem seeing these videos of the font, if it's in low definition, just give it like about 15. Give the video 15 minutes, and it will render appropriately. But so where's the first of the month? Somewhere in here, or the fourth of the month. So we'll say right in here, right? And we're talking about a 20% move, right? So 18. So again, this move bigger. In terms of percentage, and keep in mind we're at a higher level too, so bigger move on the chart, bigger percentage move, bigger absolute move. So 18% last election, and this kind of went on till kind of from where we are now, right? So keep that in mind. Now again, I'm not a big like cycle person and so forth, but I do believe that history rhymes sometimes. But we had about an 18% move, maybe a little bit more than that, and right now we've got about a 21% move in the IWM. So the small caps are getting overbought, or they are overbought. The S&P, I might as well talk about these levels now. But they did hold for now, right? So So we go over all these levels in the pre-market session for things, and I do send out an email about a level to watch. But 3650, we are holding that, right? And we talked about where we are in terms of we're in the mid. We're still in the middle of the value area for the week. So I kind of think we could go in any direction here. Even though the dip was bought today. It wasn't a huge day in SPY. SPY was still basically flat for the day. All right, so that's how that looks. And if you go back to this, I wouldn't be surprised if we do go a little bit lower, and then kind of hang out in here. So again, I'm open to either direction, really, and I don't have a huge amount of conviction, right? Sometimes we look at the chart and we're like, hey, you know, we've got a signal, right? And again, I always start with the major indices, and then we'll talk about some single stocks. But as far as the S&P, I think the S&P, I'm like 50-50 right now. If we could open up lower or higher tomorrow, I don't really have any major conviction in the short term. Qs, I mentioned that we could possibly get down to 296. This was kind of interesting, in terms of a level that we talked about in yesterday's video, 301.72. We were under there, yesterday, and this morning we had a little bit of a move back, but you could see, here it is, 9:30 right around the open, the dip was bought. So, it just kind of shows you that right now there is this momentum in the market, and people are buying. Even a shallow dip is for what we got for the last, yesterday and the beginning of today. All right, so that's some things, and this Qs too. This 5-minute virgin point of control was taken out. That we also mentioned pre-market. All right, so this level, you got a nice reversal off of that and a nice move into value. And just going back to the S&P on the 5-minute chart as well. Again, a nice little dip that was bought on the open, but as far as price action throughout the session, not any major thing. However, there seemed to be if we talk about if we turn to the sectors, and by the way, the VIX was up again today, so kind of interesting there. Also, bonds had a decent day. So again, I think it's one of those things before we get to the sectors, but I think it's one day at a time. That we've got quadruple witching next week, which should, I would think that there will be a little bit of volatility around there. I'm not making a prediction, but I think there will be a little bit of volatility here. So here's where it gets interesting when you look at the sectors. Biotech, small cap biotech has been absolutely on fire. That was up 3.7% today. The energy companies, again, they kind of fly underneath the radar a little bit because I don't think there are that many people playing too many of the names, within these groups. I'm long one name which hasn't really done anything, unfortunately, which is NOV. Because I saw some big block of calls that went up, which again, for a group that I'm not involved in too much, I do tend to kind of look for that option activity, to see what's kind of going on there. But, this group, like if you look at some names like APA, which was up, again, big moves. They're like SPAC moves, right? Big move in this one. AR was brought to my attention in the room today, which is a nat gas name. Again, big move. They did take out those virgin point of controls, so you can now set this to your stop price for AR, Antero Resources. All right, and yeah, the one that I'm long in this space, it was up today, but I've been long options and I haven't really been able to hit a target yet. So it's moving the right way. It's just kind of slow. CVX is one that I was in last week that I got rid of. That had a decent day today too. The whole group is strong, right? So up 5.6%. The equally weighted the equally weighted oil and gas ETF. So biotech, yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff going on here in biotech. This SGMO, unbelievable. And I don't even think, was there news in this one? Maybe there was a little bit of news, but still up 50%, 53%. Edit has been, another one that has gone from 32 to 66. Congratulations if you caught this one. I know a lot of people look at this NVCR. Right, this has been another one that's just been up and to the right. I've been long NVTA. This is part of our watch list, right? So it's starting. It's had a nice week. It's up about 9% today. For the week, I think it's over 12%. Let me see if I have. Where's our weekend watch list trade? That is doing fine, right? This is the trade that I buy every Monday morning. We got Crowd in there, which is up 7.6%. Alley, which I also had. Some of these trades, because again, I talk about this watch trade, this watch list trade that we do every week, where I buy the whole portfolio, and I do that in a system called M1 Finance. But I also take some swing trades out of the group too. So I was long Alley, which I got out of yesterday in my swing trade, and I will hold this till tomorrow, and I'll substitute out of this and into SPY right around the close tomorrow, and then hold the SPY over the weekend, right, for this watch list type trade. But yeah, Penn is doing nice. Pure Storage up 4% for the week. So we've got some nice performance in here, up 2.3% week to date. Right. So that's that group. The material space, I saw that the Bloomberg Commodity Index hit a 6-year high today. Even the internet stocks, right? Twitter, Snap, very strong today. So again, there's pockets of strength all over the place, right? You go and I show you that chart of the S&P for the day, which after the first hour basically went sideways. But you've got a lot of things like this that are just that have momentum to them. Where did Twitter finish? Twitter also up 8%. I'm long some pins. This had a fine day today, up 4.6%. I like the little bit of consolidation here, right? So I sent this chart out around like 10 or 11 o'clock this morning. That's when I got into this. But nice bullish engulfing. A different name too, Fever. This was brought to my attention by Tribeca Trade Group member. Also bullish engulfing for the day. How about this one? Wix. I got long some Wix today. Really nice move out of that. Again, I say the word consolidation a lot, but that's what I look for in a lot of my trades. Sideways action, in an uptrend, and then a break out of the sideways pattern. So I'm long some Wix for tomorrow. Other names that just got going like crazy today. CrowdStrike up another 8.3. So again, another name up 8.3%, and the average is again the small caps did the outperformance, but you look at the S&P and you're like, oh, maybe it was it was probably a boring day. I see the S&P flat, but you look at this. Datadog had a nice day today. There is a VPOC right in front of it, but up 6% for the day. All right. What else did I trade today? XP, the name that I talked about on Bloomberg TV yesterday. Expedia. Sold off a little bit from the highs, but I got out of this one today. Again, I was just looking for a little bit of what they call pin action from the Airbnb. By the way, really interesting. I shouldn't say really interesting, but I think the way that they should quote these things, right? So what is this symbol now? A, B, and D. Right? Traded all the way up to 164. So I think it opened around 145, if I'm not mistaken, right? And I know everybody quotes the IPO price, but if you're, if you're not an affluent or accredited investor, odds are you didn't get any shares in the IPO, right? Those all go to the institutions, to the biggest institutions, and the most preferable hedge fund clients of the underwriters of the investment bank. So if you are not some of the lucky few, or if you weren't an early investor in Airbnb, what did the stock do today? For you, for anybody else besides that 99.9% of the rest of the people, besides the less than 1% who got the IPO price at $68. It really it opened up. It's flat for the day for 99.9% of the people, right? So I know like they love to quote these things, and I get it. That's how the mechanics are. There is an IPO price, and everybody's like, oh, it's up over 112%. You see that on CNBC or on Bloomberg, all day long about how it's up 120 or 112% for the day. But from where it actually opened, it's flat. So I don't know why that they do that. I don't think it's a fair shake to tell people that it's up that much. Um, but there are some retail investors that did get, probably a little bit of Airbnb, right? And then the other one, is down from the opening price, I believe. So, it would be a better way, I think, to quote these things. I'm making a little bit of a suggestion, but that's great if you got the IPO shares, but um, you know, these things are little changed from where they actually opened up, right? Not the IPO price. All right, sorry, a little bit tired today. It's been a heavy week of trading. Just to kind of finish, and talk a little bit about a couple names that I took today. It's one of those things where, um, you know, right now I'm having a little bit of a time, I'm trying to be very cognizant about how I'm managing risk. I think, I have a feeling like just the end of this year might be a little bit different or difficult to trade. Not as smooth as it's been the last couple of weeks. Remember, the Qs were up like 10 or 11 straight days, I believe. Right? If we bring up the Qs, right? How many days were they up? So we'll even include the down 2.2%. So starting from 1123, or we'll start at 1124. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 out of the last 12 days, the Qs have been up, right? So that's a very blessed market, right? When I say something like this, do I want this trend to continue? Sure. But, 11 out of 12 days or 12 out of 13 days up is unusual. So, do I expect that we're going to have another, we've got Friday and then another week till quadruple witching. So we got 6 more days. Do I think the 6 days are going to be up? I'm not banking on that. So, it's one of these things where if we're seeing so much option activity that that not every one of these, if you take a couple trades, not everyone is going to work. And so what I'm trying to do in my trading account is continue to kind of not accumulate positions, right? To really kind of make sure that I'm participating in some things, looking for the best setups, but not just like, hey, if you put on a position, like option position or stock position, and it doesn't work right away, and especially if it's an option position, because that you have, decay and so forth. There's an expiration for any option position that you put on, and if it doesn't move, what I find that I'm doing is just stripping out some of those positions, because I don't want to keep just adding risk. If that happens, so you'll see, if you go into the trade blotter, I took off a couple positions that I put on, even one this morning in FCX, which is short-term calls. But I think, like, you just have to go, for me, I have to go through this process every day of just making sure that I've got my favorite setups on, and not not accumulating positions, right? And again, there's nothing wrong with it. I've been doing this very well with holding the last portion of a trade too, to try to get that big winner, because you do need big winners in trades, right? Net is another one, by the way. Hit all-time high today too. So anyway, we'll leave it there. Again, plenty of trading opportunities and a fun day to trade. Guys, have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow.